Yeah, and that's why you don't wear a maxi dress on an escalator.
And on that note, folks, I have no idea what to say, but welcome everybody back to another exciting episode of Undisrupted. This time live. That's right, we're coming live from ISTE Live.
Yeah, a lot of lives there.
A lot of lives that matter. And our guest is introducing herself in the most unusual ways. She's just gonna laugh right into the camera, right into the mic. But before we bring Jackie on, we're Adam, our opening debate. Let's talk about titles. I was a director of instructional technology. One time I changed my title on my email because I was just tired of having technology in my title. So I became director of innovation and digital learning, got in trouble with my board, got in trouble with my superintendent, but it didn't matter because I'd already made business cards. So I got to keep the title because, I spent that $13 on those business cards. But really, what were your titles and what was the work that you actually did? So tell me one of your titles. Like you were director of, the last one was a long one. It was like technology and
no, my last one was good. It was the first one I had when I left the classroom. It was the technical data facilitator.
Oh,
yeah, it was under Title I, but really I was more of the instructional technology person that worked only with the Title I schools. But the title that they had to give me because of supplanting was technical data facilitator.
And the real title should have been
instructional technology specialist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of titles, I'm gonna have to take a deep breath here. This is gonna take me a while. I'm gonna welcome up our guest, Jackie Patanio. Wow, I always said your name wrong. It's Patanio.
Patanio.
Patanio. Yeah, I'm not from New York. I gotta say it.
The hard way.
Patanio.
Yeah.
Patanio.
Let's bring up our guest, Jackie Patanio. She is at New York City Public Schools. She's the executive director, ready folks, of planning. Oh, see, I already screwed it up. I can't even get through it the first time through. Let's try that again. Take two. She is the executive director of school planning, modernization, partnerships at District 31 there at New York City. Jackie, what do you do in that title?
I do a lot of things, Carl.
She's we did before the podcast, she told us she's the Jackie of all trades, and I believe it, because tell us a little bit, what does that role do? What does that entail?
I really am the Jackie of all trades. So the role pretty much has me working with leaders, working with teachers, working with district staff on instructional technology, ed tech things, how to plan for their schools, how to use the boards, how to talk to people, and what happens when the Wi-Fi goes down. I say put in a support ticket and the technical team will get to you on that. I'm really good at telling people to put in
support tickets.
Put in a ticket. Put in a ticket.
So the number so I can escalate it.
Yeah, you have the power of escalation?
I do for my team anyway, but I'm like a switchboard operator.
Yeah.
I like push all the buttons.
So you're connecting people, you're making sure the right things are getting done. Yes, there's a lot going on in that title, but now I hear it. Yes. What would you say if you had to rename yourself or rename your title based on what you actually do? You'd be what?
I think it's similar to what you said, kind of like the director. I mean, executive director is always like very formal to me. I would say like more of like a director of instructional technology is very simple. My previous title right before this, I was on the teaching and learning side. I was the ed tech instructional lead.
Okay.
It kind of feels like what I do, but now I have a little bit more of the technical end of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we are in the presence of greatness here, Adam.
Yes.
Because she is one of not the 1 or 2 or 19, but 20 to watch. What does that mean exactly, and how does that work? Is there like a American Idol
watches you?
Yeah.
Are people just walking around like watching you?
Do you see my outfit today?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Maxi dress getting caught on this thing.
Yeah.
I actually almost did get caught a couple of times.
Now you know what we were talking about, folks. Yes. So 20 to watch. Tell us, like, what is? I mean, I've seen it listed the last few years. We've been doing it, right? What does it entail? How do you get this honor?
So it's one of those awards where you have to be nominated. And then you just kind of put down all of the Jackie of all trades, the things that you do, kind of all the impact that you think you've made. And just sort of make a case for yourself. And then you get a letter of recommendation. And then it goes to the team that does the scoring, and you get selected.
Okay.
That way. So, I mean, it's a pretty big honor considering it's international.
Yeah.
Big honor. I was very shocked.
And when they change the name, I guess I don't know how they're going to do that. I guess because it won't be ISTE forever, right?
Yeah, we're still working on the name.
Didn't you have?
I do have the name, but I don't want to put it on a podcast recording because I might get in real trouble. But yes, I know what the new name is. I'm just going to say that.
So let me ask you this: since you made it to 20 to watch, tell us your backstory. How did you get to this place, this position? Did it start off as some elementary teacher that decided to do some really awesome things with technology?
No.
Womp,
There's no-
womp.
There is no beautiful story that goes along with this. No, it was truthfully, can I tell the story how I failed out of my first
I
job?
mean,
Go for it. Go.
this is hey, we do nothing
So
but spit truth on this podcast.
this is the truth. So I went to Stony Brook University and
Shout out to Stony Brook.
loved Stony Brook a little bit too much. A little bit too much. But it is a story that people can learn from, that even if you fail out of your college after 2 years, they kindly asked me to leave. I picked
I had
myself
no
up.
idea. I was gonna say I had no idea the story was gonna go this route. I
Yeah,
love it. This is
yeah,
great. This
yeah.
is good.
So I did fail out of college and kind of had to make a decision when I went home. Was I going to go down a dark road or was I going to
Yeah.
pick myself up? And that's essentially what I did. I went to my community college, got my life together, started, was like, okay, maybe I'll become a teacher.
Mhm.
That sounds like fun. And then that's how it all came to fruition. When I got my first job at PS 16 in Staten Island, my principal said, "Oh, look, there's a smartboard in your room." I was like, "Oh, that's great." I was like, "I'll play with that,"
Yeah.
which led me to get my instructional technology master's degree in 2009, and the rest is history. So, yeah.
From college dropout to 20 to watch. Oh,
My mom is
life
proud.
story.
She brings it up. She's like, "Remember when you failed out of college? Look at you now." I'm like, "Yeah."
Why does mom like to bring that up all the time? But you know what, Jackie, you're doing great. But remember that time you failed out of college? Yeah. With all that, I think one thing that I've heard a lot in the space, especially and when you get to a position like this where you now have a lot of eyes on you, 20 to watch, but also just in your role, is there ever a concern, of an imposter syndrome is the thing that all of us suffer from it in different aspects of life. And I think depending on where you're at, who's supporting you, how do you have that feeling sometimes? Did you have that? I mean, especially like from the backstory you just shared with me, it's like, wow, this is cool. I'm kind of doing this. How am I doing this? How did I get this lucky? I hear that sometimes with myself. So how do you handle that?
So it's something that has kind of been following me all throughout, like that imposter syndrome, the why do I have this? How do I have this? Am I good enough to have this? Even now, like, I am getting over it, but I'm like, why did I get 20 to watch?
Right.
And as even when you detail out the things that you do, it's really hard to kind of believe that you did it, right? And a lot of the people around me and the relationships I've built are helping me kind of get to the point of like, you know what? I am a good person. I have, again, good relationships with people. And, I shouldn't be so hard on myself and be like, I don't deserve this. Like, do I deserve to be here today and have the honor of being on your podcast?
I mean, neither of us are 20 to watch.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
but we're not going to bring that up because that's still sour grapes. No, no.
I did.
But
I
it's
did make
20 on my
who's who among.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, I think my mom paid the money for me to be in the Who's Who
oh, yeah.
magazine.
Remember that? Get
Yeah.
that ad in the mail. When you were saying, take reflecting on yourself, it made me remind me of that Stuart. Was it Stuart Smalley or the guy on Saturday Night Live that said, you look yourself in the mirror and you go, you know what? I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. And I think you have to almost have,
Yeah.
like, there's days, even here, we're live at ISTE and I don't know if Adam's experienced this too, but you're kind of walking around and sometimes people come up and they know you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, oh, I've seen your picture on things. And you're just like, why are they taking pictures of us? And it's weird. It kind of freaks us out a little bit. I mean, it still freaks me out. I'm honored every time someone says that, but I'm also like weird that, in this weird world that we're in, we're kind of
Well,
celebrity, I guess. I don't know.
it's in a way influencers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're online, you're there, you're in the public spotlight. People see you, and of course, I want to come over and say hi. You?
I know
I
you.
know Carl. I know Adam. It's so good to see you.
Let me ask you this, because coming from one stylish person to another,
Notice I didn't include myself on that.
I'm just saying.
That's true. You guys both have style.
So, how did you come up with your style? I mean, has this always been you?
This has always been me. I was always the person in high school that my friends would be like, "We're gonna go to the store and pick out the ugliest thing, and we know Jackie will like it." I would wear like fur and like pleather and like
You mix and
yeah,
match.
I would mix and match. I would wear stripes that went, let's say horizontally. Again, a mom story. She'd be like, "You're wearing horizontal stripes." I was like, "But I love them. They look great." She's like, "Do you have a magic mirror in your room?" I have always had an eclectic palette, and I've always liked to experiment. And honestly, I like Halloween, surprisingly.
Mm.
Shocking for anyone out there. I like Halloween.
He's also a dragon tamer in a former life.
Elvira's here, but I would dress up every single day in costume if I could. I love costumes.
Okay, so I got to figure out how to tie this. So how does the flavor, the spice that you have with your costume and design and the
Yes.
ability to take risks, how does that translate into your current role? Do you use any of that? Because when you walk in, you you catch eyes because of your presence. And so how do you utilize that, or how do you, in the work that you do, are you doing are you taking risks as well, more than just your wardrobe?
Yeah. Well, two things. First of all, whenever you're going for a job and you wear something that sticks out, they remember you,
Absolutely. So
right?
you're memorable.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Yep.
So you're memorable. Two is I make people feel comfortable. I think when people see how I kind of present myself, they're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. She likes to take risks. I could be myself in front of her. Two is that I really am somebody who likes to try things. Like I will try anything. I will try, the newest platform. I'll be like, hey, let's give this a go and see if, we fail, we fail. Same thing
Yeah.
with the clothes. It all goes hand in hand.
You got to have
Yeah.
that mindset. I love that you kind of own it and wear it,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, pushing on that a little bit, have you ever found yourself or felt someone made a judgment
Mm.
towards you based on your unique style?
Not that I could, well, off the top of my head, I can't think of a time, but yes, especially when it comes to my tattoos, which is
Oh,
interesting.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm noticing the
Right.
beautiful sleeve. We can't get that on camera a little bit, but yeah, you
Yeah.
got stuff going on. You
I'm
got
heavily tattooed here, my whole back, my leg. Like I'm very tattooed.
nice.
So, some people are thrown by
Yeah,
that, and the professionalism, and I take you like a little bit of a side eye.
right.
Little do they know that it takes a lot of perseverance to sit through pain for hours.
Yeah, I
So,
am completely free of all tattoos. Adam just has that one up right above his. Never mind. I think what's also interesting is getting people to, you said, making people feel comfortable. That's a big part of the role, right? And so going in and just kind of presenting yourself. How do you create in a district like that? I mean, New York is just in my head. I still can't imagine or fathom like making relationships, because I feel like everything you would be doing is just like kind of a drive by, like, hey, I'm here for a minute, bye, I gotta go, right? And that's it. So how do you make relationships to get, encourage teachers to try new things and take those risks as well?
So what's interesting is that I'm in District 31. So District 31 is Staten Island.
Okay.
So we only have one district in my borough. I've been there forever. I taught there. My first job when I was the instructional tech lead, that was there. That was where I really built the relationships with the schools. And that was about 6 years of putting my money where my mouth is, getting into schools, doing programs with one of my teammates. And we stuck to our word. We got into the schools, we ran programs for them. And once somebody trusts you and they know they can rely on you, it's kind of like, word of mouth.
Yeah.
And then like your reputation kind of precedes you, and once everybody trusts you, you're golden.
Yeah.
And we would live in schools. We wouldn't live in the office.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
huge. That's
We
so
would
big.
live in the schools. We would do the stuff. And one other thing about Staten Island, which is very interesting, is that we're not incestuous, but everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
So you kind of
Pete
live there.
Davidson, you know that.
Exactly. So you all know it's like 6 degrees of separation. Like,
Yeah.
my aunt, she worked down.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that also kind of lends itself to it. So definitely, those relationships were cultivated over years.
Okay.
It's all about that community build, because like what you said is similar to a teacher in a classroom. If the teacher makes that connection with those students, it's not only the students in the classroom, it's the students are in the whole school, because they call it, you're the cool teacher, but you're the cool teacher because you've been able to build relationships, not because you let the kids get away with everything. So, and it's the same thing when you're working with adults.
And they look forward to working with you.
Yeah.
They want to come to your classroom. They want to come to your PDs. They want to reach out to you. If they know they can text you, and you don't have to have the answer. You can just say, I will find someone to give you the answer, or I will just get back to you. That is worth its weight in gold.
That's it. Yeah. So much to spill off of that too. And I was just thinking, this is the first podcast, Adam, I can think of in a long time that we haven't said the two letters.
We don't have
No,
AI.
we're not. Oh, I was like, no, we're not going to do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. We didn't have to, but now I feel like I have to because we're contractually obligated to.
No,
Like,
no.
yes or no, we don't have to.
As much as
I got to ask about it because it is
in the program at ISTE.
I mean, that's the big thing. It's every.
Yeah.
I mean, last year at ISTE was sort of on the scene and worried about cheating. Da, 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 da. What are you seeing this year? Because this is live, so I mean, and it's Monday right now. For those of you listening to this recording later, it's Monday of ISTE, which is really the first big full day, I would say.
Yeah.
What have you seen in the couple of days you've been here? Like AI is obviously everywhere, but what are some other things you're noticing? Or expound on AI if you want.
I mean, for me personally, the work that I'm doing, with obviously, Miss Laura Ogando and Lisa Neal.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Shout out to
Friends of the
Laura
show.
and Lisa. Yes,
Shout
friends
out
of the
to my
show.
friends, and Tali Horowitz at Common Sense. We've been focusing a lot on the whole well-being aspect
Mm.
and kind of just the AI literacy. So getting the adults to understand what it is, what it means, what it isn't, and like not just kind of throwing it into the classrooms, which I'm hearing it here, not just kind of throwing it out there to students without there actually being kind of an understanding from the adults
Yep.
and really, knowing the implications of what it is you're putting into a chat GPT, right? Don't put in your PII. They might not realize that. I've worked with people who, would go to put in someone's name, but you don't realize
You
it.
just think it's innocent. Yeah. You're not trying to actually release that student information, but
Exactly.
yeah.
So you're doing it by accident. So that's something that's at the forefront for us and that we've been focusing on. And I've, had a lot of conversations with folks here about that. And the whole idea of, just the age and who should be using it, 13 years, 18 years. Yeah.
That's a big one too. And everything you guys do in New York City, man, it's like always on the news.
It's always
Yeah,
under a
so
microscope.
Country
Always.
follows or listens. When you blocked it, everyone's like, "Oh, New York's blocking it." And then when you open it up, like, "Wow, they're opening it up already." And yeah,
It's really about the literacy of it, though. It's like just understanding because you can't just say no.
right.
Just say no. It's not. It's because it's not going away.
It isn't. And
Right.
as much as people probably want it to, some people probably do. It's not. So you just have to embrace it. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: like being at a conference like ISTE Live, there's so much going on. There's so many sessions. How do you take all this wealth of information back to New York, back to your space, back to those teachers that you built those relationships with? How do you decide what is something to share with them or something that, you're not ready to kind of get this just yet?
Generally stems from the conversations that I have,
Mhm.
right? So, like again, we're talking about the relationships. Whatever I've spoken to with people about and things, themes that have been coming up, I'm like, I put my little notes down. I make my bulleted checklist. I go back into my digital tote. I kind of do a whole reflection on what, again, the themes were, and then that's what I usually bring back. So again, like the idea of the AI literacy,
Right.
that's going to be it. That's probably going to be in everything I've spoke about with people, and all the information I've gathered will probably be focused around that.
How do you pace yourself or keep yourself undisrupted in an event like this where it's now, folks, we're recording this at almost 5 on Monday, and we were already like, it doesn't stop, right? Because after this is everything else, and you don't want to miss everything else because there's also great connections that happen at the dinners and the networking events. And so how do you, or do you, or you just,
Don't.
I mean, I'm the worst at this because I'm like, oh yeah, I'll sleep when I get home, right? Yeah.
No, I'm all over the place. Like my brain is so stuffed right now, I can't even focus. The fact that I'm having this conversation coherently is actually
She's only sworn a couple of times. You guys can leave those out earlier, so you guys didn't hear it.
tried so hard to not.
You're doing a great job.
And what we're going to do to like edit out anything, we'll just take your laugh and just use that as like the little beep. Instead of beep, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll do.
there you go.
There it
Yeah.
was. Iconic. I love it.
No,
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And finally, and again, shout out to everyone at NYC. We had a lot of friends over there. Great group. And she is the executive director of school planning, modernization, partnerships, and at District 31 in New York City Public Schools. Give it up for Jackie, everybody. Do we have an applause? Oh, you can't even hear it. There it is. You can't hear it because you know that thumbs up. Oh, sorry. Thank you for joining us on the Undisrupted Podcast, brought to you by All for Ed. He's Adam, and you can follow him at AskAdam3.
And he's Carl, and you can follow him at Mr. Hooker. And then remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we are better together,
And we're better
undisrupted.